Okay, it's your buddy Mike Messier. It's January 1st, 2019 already, so Happy New Year's to everybody. And just talking about what's going on with the Mike Messier page. You know, I think I've stated my course with WWE last night. You know, just to cover the wrestling thing real quick, I don't think I'm going to be doing as many wrestling rants, but who knows, maybe I will. But the wrestling landscape, especially WWE, is so abysmal and god-awful creatively, and not to mention their company politics and everything. So I'm just going to try and talk about different things. So if you're a wrestling fan, if you want to know about my experiences as a wrestling fan, if you have any requests, I mean, I have gone to a lot of shows, a lot of ECW, WCW, WWF. Feel free to make your requests. But beyond that, I think I'm just going to go into other topics. Right now, you know, New Year's Day is here, and for me, I'm getting a little bit of a workout because you might see that I'm breathing heavy. I'm wearing these weights on my ankles. So I'm not just walking, I'm getting 20 pounds, I'm moving 20 pounds every step, or every 2 steps. Every time I move my foot, I move 10 pounds. And I'm going to go around this lap at least twice. I don't know how big the fucking lap is. You know, there's a gym. The gym that I go to is pretty close by. But my feeling is that gym's going to be packed today. It's going to be full of, you know, what I call the term Saturday night sinner, Sunday morning saints. And I typically use that term in terms of, you know, church services when people, you see these college people or whoever the fuck going into the church on Sunday morning to repent for what they did 12 hours earlier. But for the gym thing, you see that usually the day after a big holiday, like, you know, typically today, New Year's Day, everyone's come, they've stuffed their face from, you know, going back to Thanksgiving to Christmas to now New Year's Eve, and they go on the gym and they think they're doing 20 minutes on the exercise bike is gonna blare off all that fat. For my own health, you know, I kind of backslid a bit. People have been kind enough to make note of my double chin, which is prominent. It wasn't as much, you know, about 2 years ago, but I'm working on it. And I've also, in my own way, just kind of resigned myself, like, hey, I'm not going to be a fucking 180-pound guy at this point in my life. So I'm more concentrated on muscle density rather than, you know, counting calories, so to speak. So I'm more concerned with having, you know, a physique of strength rather than being a fucking, you know, whoever the fuck, some thin asshole. But in any goddamn way, out here, my hair's all fucked up, but it's windy. I hope you had a good New Year's Eve. As far as the content of the Mike Messier page goes, YouTube, you know, what do you people want to see? Do you want to see more rants about non-wrestling things or wrestling things? I think that a lot of people might click on one of my videos and not know the depth and the power of these videos, because I have short films, I have the Messier mantra, my TV show with a lot of great guests. So there's a lot of things going on the Mike Messier YouTube page you may not know about. But one thing I'm trying to do, and maybe people appreciate this, maybe they don't, I don't want to give you a fucking video of me sitting in a goddamn studio, apartment studio or a studio with a microphone and talking to another talking head. I do like to use this phone to go out into the goddamn world, because I do fear that a lot of people that are watching, you know, my videos or other videos, and I can tell you what I watch a lot of cool stuff, but they would never find themselves at 10 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day. I mean, you can take a look. This is a beautiful tennis court, right? It's 10 o'clock on New Year's Day. Obviously, it's a little chilly, but there still could be a couple of people out here playing fucking tennis, but not, you know, not 2 people, not 1 person's out here besides me. I mean, this is ridiculous. And I kind of fear that that's the state of our fucking world, is that there are resources, there are hikes, there are fucking parks. You don't have to be fucking Adventure Johnny to go out and get some fresh air. But I just fear that so many people are compartmentalized, like, gotta go to the gym, and they go to their, 24-hour gym or whatever the fuck, which is great. But you could also just put on these weight straps like I did, and I'm walking around pushing 20 pounds around this fucking thing, and doing it that way. But any type of activity is good. But my point is, I just fear that people, like the video game thing. Like a friend of mine last night suggested, oh, this kid, this 27-year-old kid's making $1 billion a year with his video game videos. Good for him, the kid. But 27, 28-year-old guy doing these video games. But I'm not into video games, and I'll tell you why. I played them a lot when I was, maybe 7 to 14, 15. But the reality is, what is playing that video game do for you? Now, if you're making money playing video games and having other assholes watch you play video games, then that's something. But if you're the guy or the girl sitting there, especially watching videos of other people playing video games to get hints or clues, and what's it going to accomplish for you to watch someone else play a video game, get the hints and the clues, and then you do it? I mean, there used to be this fucking magazine, Nintendo Power, where you could get, it was basically an advertisement. But I don't know, I guess, some of these things, video games, are they fun? Yeah, they can be. But they consume so much goddamn time. And I learned that with a couple of times in my life. I used to play something called the Superstar Pro Wrestling game. It was a card game, and you had different wrestlers and all this crap, and it was like Dungeons and Dragons for wrestling fans. And I got to the point with that game where I adapted it, meaning I did some implementation. I made up my own cards, I made referee cards, did all these wonderful things. And then one day, been playing that game for years, I had one friend who had his own game, and we'd tell each other the results, and we'd make audio cassette recordings of us playing these goddamn games and send them to each other, hand them to each other, let the other guy listen to it. One day I took that game that I invested so much time and energy, and to my mom's credit, she had bought me this goddamn game, all these different variants, and I picked up that game and I threw it in the goddamn garbage can. And that might sound like sacrilege to someone, because the game was pretty fucking good, to be honest with you. And someone who, if you had a great chess set or a great Dungeons and Dragons, I hear someone say, well, I threw the game out. Why would you do such a thing, Mike? Well, it's because I realized that game was taking over my fucking life. And that's what I feel about some of these video games. If I stopped playing that if I didn't stop playing that wrestling card game, how many experiences would I missed out on by being inside all the time, rolling a fucking dice, looking at cards? And I think about these people, smart people, who get so fucking worked up on whether it's fucking Halo or Doom or whatever the fucking game is, Sims, all this shit. I mean, I've seen very intelligent, attractive people get hooked into these video games. And not to sound like the old codger, but just for the young people, I've been there, but playing these fucking things, do they do anything for you? What are you going to be, the best fucking guy who plays fucking whatever? You're the best player of this game. So what? I mean, if there's some tournament or money or something, but for 99% of you, that's not the case. If you're a professional video game player and you're getting other people to watch you play these games and sponsor you, okay, fine. But if you're just some asshole who's the best person in your neighborhood playing this game, what does that do for you? Nothing. Or maybe it does something. Explain it to me. But I don't see what it would do. The other thing is, you know, the same thing with pro wrestling. Obviously, I've had some experiences in that realm. I've had a job interview for WWE, which I've talked about. They don't want to hire me. There's no other companies that really, they probably don't want a guy like me who speaks the fucking truth and isn't afraid to ruffle some goddamn feathers at this point. So all the videos I've done, you know, and kind of highlighted by being on the Vince Russo show, and thanks very much to Vince Russo for having me on Bucket Full of Chicken X in 2018. But all that stuff, a wrestling promotion is not going to want a guy who says that Kenny Omega wrestling a plastic doll and Tommaso Ciampa jamming his thumb up Jushin Liger's asshole is a bad thing, because they just want people that go along with the fucking flow. So the wrestling business is a work, and the code of conduct, so to speak, is the wrestlers are fooling the fans, and for someone like myself to kind of point out these atrocities, that's not someone they really want to hire, because they fear that I would just speak my truth too much, and they don't want to hear my truth. So there you fucking go. So if you're wondering why things like WWE Raw are so bad, meaning not entertaining, it's because the type of person they're hiring these days is not going to challenge the fucking status quo. It's going to be, no offense, but it's going to be Dewey, Mick Foley's son, you know, who had a job for the writing team. Maybe he still does. Born into the business, and he'll just be a part of the business like everybody else who's born into it, like the McMahons were born into it. So people sometimes say, Mike, you really should be working for a wrestling company. You have all this insight, this knowledge, this perspective. They don't want to hire me because I would challenge them too much. That's the fucking reality, okay? As far as my own goddamn projects, you know, they're happening. The Impeccable, you know, just go to MikeMessier.com. I try not to mix mojos, like being the angry guy ranting about the state of the world and then telling you about my fictional narratives. But my fictional narratives are really what I enjoy doing. The problem is, every time I make a fictional narrative, I lose goddamn money. And people, oh, well, you should take this course. Well, yeah. So, I mean, I signed up for some of this stuff. Some of it helps, some of it doesn't. I feel like if people want to see my goddamn work, I have scripts that are done. They're done. I've written them, okay? DistanceFromAvalon.com. I mean, just go there. You can read some of it. But, I mean, trying to get someone to read a goddamn script in this fucking industry is pretty difficult. And people don't seem to understand that. People outside the entertainment world or the film world always seem to think it's so fucking easy. Why don't you just make your movie? You know, well, they don't fucking get it. Okay? So, any goddamn way. Starting the year strong. Walking around in a circle. But I guess the point is, I don't feel like going to a goddamn gym full of the 2-week assholes that will be clogging up the gym for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later, they'll start to dissipate. No offense to them, but that's just the story of the fucking truth. Once again, I'm outside. It's 10 o'clock on New Year's Day. Here I am, this wonderful venue, and I'm the only one out here. So, anyway, this is not going to be a live video. I've done a couple of live videos. Those are fun. But I guess just wrapping it up with voyeurism. Look, John Jones fight, a live thing on that. You know, politics, everything that we watch and get all excited about. You know, politics, if anything, is more important. But I was going to say this. You know, I was thinking about this. That women's empowerment march on Washington, basically almost 2 years ago when Trump got in office. What's been the follow-up on that? And that's just an open question. I don't have the answer. Where is the follow-up on some of these things? Women's empowerment movement, Black Lives Matter. Let's have some follow-up. And I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm saying let's legitimately have some follow-up to these things, because all those people that were so empowered or so progressive or intense, you can't just let that stop on New Year's Day. You got to keep it happening. So keep doing things. MikeMessier.com. Happy New Year.